Ms. Billingsley claims that she alone has shouldered the burden of more than $10,000 in childcare expenses for taking care of her daughter. All this is because the defendant, Mr. Broadnax, is denying her daughter and does not want to step up to the responsibility of being a father. Here's how the case begins.
Ms. Billingsley, you claim you alone have shouldered the burden of more than 10 and refuses to help support her.
Yes, Your Honor.
$5,000 and claim today's paternity results will prove you right.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, Mr. Broadnax is not denying the fact that he has not done anything for the child. He says that the only reason he has not stepped up is because he believes that Ms. Billingsley cheated on him and also believes that he is not the father of the child.
My daughter is now 21 months and I have been taking care of her since day one. For example, for her first birthday, we were going to do her birthday party and I had decided that we were going to It breaks my heart.
Men, Mr. Broadnax really doesn't want to be part of her child's life. Ms. Billingsley explains to the court that on one of her child's birthdays, she and Mr. Broadnax made plans to give their child a big birthday surprise, but when the day came, he was MIA.
For me, Your Honor, is
I'm not
the
going to
beginning
take care
of
of
my
a child at
pregnancy. First trimester was
I'm not
very
a deadbeat.
difficult.
House, when she told me that she was got her a house, her car, everything.
He did for me because I've always worked. I've always supported myself.
Is it just me, or does Ms. Billingsley have her story confused? She started by saying that Mr. Broadnax has not done anything for her baby. Now she's changing the story by saying that he actually bought her a house and a car when she was pregnant with the child. What's going on?
Planning this baby and being together, there were rumors of cheating?
There was rumors. Found out I was pregnant. It was very early in my pregnancy. I found out, I was excited. The first person I called was Mr. Broadnax to share the news.
I'm siding with her on that one. Ms. Billingsley tells the judge that they planned to have the baby, but when she got pregnant and Mr. Broadnax came back to the city, he was partying constantly. And she told him that if he did not stop all the partying, she was going to leave.
But there are days that he will deny her and there's days that he...
Getting houses and cars and going to doctor's appointments, everything.
I started doubting, Your Honor, when I was just, and then I heard her phone go off. So I picked up her phone and she was messaging her ex-boyfriend. I seen a message, hey, and I miss you. That's as far as it went.
Honestly, that sounds like a whole lot of nothing. Mr. Broadnax explains to the judge that his doubts come from the fact that she texted her ex-boyfriend saying she misses him, and his friend has seen her with a couple of dudes hanging out together. I mean, she's allowed to have male friends.
As you can see, her window of conception was from the 10th to the 18th, I believe. Work schedule. I was out of town from the
Away for almost 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Looks like he was onto something after all. Mr. Broadnax presents evidence that shows that the conception date of the child tallies with the period he was out of town. If he was out of town, there's no way he could have made a baby with Ms. Billingsley.
Okay, so we were together. I've got her house, as I said. About 3-4 months, it started getting rocky, arguing a lot. Her DNA test, when I brought that up, she would always
That is a lie, Your Honor.
She would always get defensive, just like
That
right
is a
now.
lie.
You
When
see it
he
right
would
now.
request
She would
no, when
always
he
get-
was...
Phew, I honestly wonder how these two were able to sit down in the same room and try to make a baby. All they do is argue with each other. Well, Ms. Billingsley says that anytime Mr. Broadnax brought up the idea of a DNA test, he wouldn't follow through with it.
I always told her she never wanted to do a DNA test. I always tell her,
I have been doing
why you
this
do this?
on
You
my
haven't
own
even
from
have
shows.
doubts, Your Honor.
I have spent over almost $10,000 on this child alone, being 21 months.
Wow. If you're looking for a mom who loves her child, Ms. Billingsley is the perfect example. She presents her own evidence to the judge, and it shows the number of items she has bought for her child. She also states that Mr. Broadnax has not done anything since the baby was born.
She told me numerous occasions that the baby...
That is a lie.
You have never told me the baby
I've
wasn't
never
mine?
told you that.
Ms. Billingsley, you, in anger, anything, you've never told him this is not your child.
She's lying, Your Honor.
That's actually hilarious. Mr. Broadnax says that he is in a relationship, but Ms. Billingsley says that they were intimate a few days before their court case, and she can take a lie detector test to prove it. I think it's time we get to the results. Let's get fish to the bottom of all of this.
Mr. Broadnax, you are the father.
I'm
Step
a man
up.
step up to the plate and start taking care of my
She
daughter.
needs her father.
Ms. Beto is in the courtroom today because she says that she was furious that the defendant, Mr. Bolton, asked her to take a DNA test on her daughter. She says that the request has broken up her happy home, and she wants to see if that can be fixed with the results from today's case. Here's how it all begins.
Ms. Beto, you say you were furious when the defendant asked on your 7 Ileana. That request has broken up your happy home.
Wow. Him being in the courtroom for the exact same thing has to be heartbreaking. Mr. Bolton says that he is heartbroken that he has to do this, but he had built a beautiful bond with the child, and he just wants to be sure he is the father.
I was very devastated to find out the news about the young boy not being. But in the same sense, I was happy. Child was supposed to be mine. See, Your Honor, here's the thing. When the baby was born, I cut the umbilical cord, the doctors wiped the baby off, and they gave...
I'm not even going to lie. That took me by surprise. Even the judge and Jerome could not believe he said that. Mr. Bolton says that when the baby was born and the doc handed the baby to him, the doc asked Mr. Bolton if he was certain that he was the father because the baby was white.
First born, and when the doctor made that comment, this is the reason why we're here right there.
Okay, Your Honor, let me just say this. We are, that was stupid. We're mixed. I'm Dominican and black. He's Puerto Rican and black.
I mean, that's actually a doubt. The normal thing every doctor says once a child comes into the world is congratulations. But when a doctor asks you if the child is yours, you should really go into panic mode. Ms. Beto insists that the child belongs to Mr. Bolton.
Faithful, loyal woman.
I did, but that's the relationship. I mean, if you look at the baby's, man, the baby's white.
So until you were in the delivery room...
At this point, it seems like everyone doubts that the baby belongs to Mr. Bolton. He says that when the family members came to congratulate him, they also asked him if he was sure that the baby was his because of the skin tone.
All right, she disappeared. What reason, I don't know, but when she finally came back, we figured out that baby wasn't mine. Got my name off the birth certificate, finally. Second time this has happened in my life, a young lady got pregnant, but come to find out.
Wow, it's actually crazy that this is his third attempt at trying to find out if he is the father of a child. One would honestly think that Mr. Bolton was cursed or something. Even Judge Lauren is surprised that this situation has happened to him more than once. I would lose my mind if I were in his shoes.
Couple years. How old is Ileana? She's 7 months. Last year and a half or so. Have you slept with anybody else?
We actually broke up last year around August, and it was due to...
Looks like Mr. Bolton is not a saint. He says that he cheated to make Ms. Beto happy. She was always accusing him of cheating, and when he got tired of hearing it, he decided to cheat and make her happy. I can't believe that's his reason for cheating.
To my phone calls for a while. After,
Why should I?
I cheated on her, okay? So now we're working on something, trying to get back together. When we finally get back together, this is when she's admitting that...
At least we can all agree that they both slept with different people. The only difference is that Ms. Beto slept with the other guy when she was no longer with Mr. Bolton. Sadly, we can't say the same thing for Mr. Bolton.
His baby.
And his baby are in her phone.
In her phone, and it looks like this. His daughter looks like my daughter. So...
I mean, but how often is it that babies can look alike?
But Your Honor, I just want to show you this evidence right here.
Let me see that evidence, sir.
You can see that she's really hurt by everything that's going on in the courtroom. She upset that Mr. Bolton doesn't believe the child is his, and now that's making them put a hold on their marriage. That's honestly sad.
Worried, still.
I am, just because, yeah, my past, and, just...
And the last time you were in
like
court?
The last time I was in court, I mean, came out, not yours. But the signs are there, so many people saying it.
If you leave these guys, they are going to argue that no one is left on planet Earth. Oh well, the results are in, and I think it's time for us to find out if Ms. Beto has been telling the truth all the while.
In the case of Beto v. Bolton, when it comes to the paternity of Ileana Bolton, and as to whether Mr. Bolton is her biological father, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Bolton, you are her father.
Mr. Field says that he is in the courtroom for the sake of his son. He claims that the defendant, Ms. Nicholson, has lied to him, cheated on him, and told him to his face that he is not the father of the child. He is here today to clear the doubts and get to the bottom of the whole mess and find out the truth. This is how he starts his case.
Mr. Fields, you state you were here for the sake of your 1-year-old son.
Yes, Your Honor.
You claim the defendant has lied to you, cheated on you, and even told you herself that you are not the child's father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Numerous amounts of panties? Wow, that's very shocking. Mr. Field says that he doubts paternity because Ms. Nicholson cheated on him. Ms. Nicholson says that he is the one who actually cheated, and she is furious that he is accusing her of being the cheat.
Tyrell's the one who's the liar. He's the one who's the cheater. He sends me videos, pictures. I'm seeing text messages, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of that. There's proof that he's cheating. I also have a video stating that...
Okay, Your Honor, and I've told her everything. I've told her even before I've done such a thing.
Well, the ball game just changed, and it looks like Mr. Fields is now on the hot seat. Ms. Nicholson says that she has a video where Mr. Fields is seen to be having sex with another lady. Mr. Fields claims to have told her about it, but somehow that sounds like a big lie.
evidence. You've submitted a video to the court.
Yes.
Let's take a look at that evidence.
But I'm the one who's cheating.
Your Honor.
But I'm the one who's cheating.
Your Honor.
That's a video you got from where?
He
me.
sent it to my phone
Your Honor,
about 2 weeks ago.
He sent it to your phone.
About 2 weeks ago,
Your
yes.
Honor.
Why would you send that video to her phone?
Your Honor, I did it out of anger, and I told her that I was going to cheat because she said she was going to cheat.
Talk about a relationship that is very toxic. Their relationship checks the top of the list in that category. As you can see, the video proof is mind-blowing. Mr. Fields, in his defense, says that he only cheated because Ms. Nicholson told him she was going to cheat.
Were you in a sexual relationship
No, I
with
was
him?
not.
Your Honor, Your
No, I
Honor,
was not.
one day I went up to her job. The dude that I believe is that child's father, he did a sexual gesture to her in front of my face, and she pretended like she didn't see it. That's the same dude that called her phone the same night I went to pick her up from her house.
At this point, it's pretty obvious that these two do not trust each other at all. I am surprised they even agreed to be in the same courtroom. Mr. Fields says that the man who he believes to be the child's father made sexual gestures, indicating that he and Ms. Nicholson were intimate.
Excuse me, why would I want my boyfriend to cheat on me? What sense, what female wants that? Does it make sense? It doesn't.
Your Honor,
Who
she
wants to
says-
be cheated on?
She says that out her mouth, along with her sister saying that she's a cheater and that boy is not mine.
Your Honor.
So now her family member told you.
That's correct.
Men, you can tell she's really hurt by the whole situation. Ms. Nicholson tells the judge that Mr. Fields is the only man she has been with since she was 16. It breaks her heart that he is the one who cheated. And now he is claiming that she's the cheat.
We believe
I don't
that.
do anything. Anything. What proof do you have?
Explain
I
the-
clearly got proof of you.
Explain the
Look
hickey.
at him. He looks just like you.
Explain the hickeys on
He
your
looks
neck
just like
and the
you.
hickeys on
I
your
never
chest.
had a hickey on my neck. Never. You don't even suck on my neck. But yet I got a hickey. I don't like it, number one.
That was funny. I'm not even gonna lie. It seems like Mr. Fields is just making all this up in his head. Everything that's making him doubt paternity is coming from other people and not what he has seen. What's crazy is that he doesn't even have proof of any of it.
October. I was told that I was pregnant at like the 25th of October, okay? 2 weeks after that, that's when I had my first doctor's appointment, and they told me that I was 5 weeks. So if you count back 5 weeks, that doesn't even add up. If I was 2 weeks after October 25th is what? The second week of November, am I correct? Count back 5 weeks is still October.
Yes.
I can't be the only one who is getting tired of Mr. Fields making up stories. He says that he was not intimate with Ms. Nicholson during the window of conception, but Ms. Nicholson says that they had sex literally every day without protection. I can't even tell who is lying.
She said if I don't give it to her, she'll get it elsewhere.
What sense does that make? What sense does that make? I'm not pressed for it. You are clearly that's what the video showed. Clearly.
So at the point you find out you're pregnant, you tell Mr. Field
I was there.
when she found out.
Yes.
At least we know he is a good father. Well, they both seem to have different stories to tell the judge. The results have been submitted, and Judge Lauren is ready to give her verdict. It's time we find out who the liar has been in the courtroom.
Mr. Fields, you are his father.
Ms. Ray finds herself in a very messy situation. Two men claim that they are the fathers of her 2-year-old son, and her son calls them daddy. The crazy thing is that both men have been financially present in the child's life. Believe me, it's one hell of a case. And here's how it all begins.
Ms. Ray, 2 men claim your 2-year-old son Jordan calls them daddy. They also say you've held them both financially responsible for your child.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say those statements are lies.
Yes, Your Honor.
As you can see, it's one hell of a situation Ms. Ray has managed to find herself in. There are 2 men in the courtroom who could be potential fathers, and she has no idea who the father of her son is. Phew! I wonder how she found herself in such a messy situation.
How did this love triangle begin?
Triangle began at the end of the summer in 2011. Me and Mr. Wise.
They don't know if they had sex? Yeah, right. Like anybody is gonna buy that. Ms. Ray says that she and Mr. Wise were on a break, and Mr. Eastham was a longtime friend of hers and also a shoulder to cry on when she felt sad. I guess we know where that ended up.
So, Mr. Eastham, was this the one and only time you were intimate with Ms.
No.
No.
We used to be together for there, like when me and Josh would split up.
Wow. 2 months after their child was born is crazy. Mr. Wise says that he got to find out that Ms. Ray had been kicking it in bed with Mr. Eastham just 2 months after their child was born. You can see it in his face that he's devastated by the whole thing.
We had them 2 nights that we had partied together, and we do not know what happened. Neither one of us. We've had multiple conversations about it, and I was honestly to death to tell Josh because we had twins that passed away.
Looks like she's actually serious. Ms. Ray actually doesn't remember if she had sexual intercourse with Mr. Eastham the day they went partying. Man, This has to be the worst situation any man can find themselves in. I would lose my mind if I were to be in Mr. Wise's shoes.
Mr. Wise, I need you to speak a little louder. You said he also...
He did favor
did look
Jay.
like Jay.
He did.
You believe he looks like Mr. Eastham?
Your Honor, until he got a little bit older.
That's definitely a problem. Now, Mr. Wise says that when the child was much younger, he looked like Mr. Eastham. But as the child grew and is much older, he now looks like Mr. Wise. Even Ms. Ray agrees with the fact that the baby looks like Mr. Wise at the moment.
That's not true, Your Honor.
That is true.
Tell me about the relationship you've developed with Jordan.
I've done everything a father should do for that boy.
I can't be the only one who senses a fight coming up. Mr. Wise says that the child calls him daddy almost all the time. Mr. Eastham also says that the child has called him a daddy multiple times, and he believes that he is the father of the child. I blame Ms. Ray for all of this.
I'm just trying to.
I feel like since day one you've tried to hold that 5% possibility in Jordan's dad over my
Let me say
head.
this. Have I skipped out? Have I been MIA for months?
At least she has made it clear, and she is standing on business. Ms. Ray says that the only reason that they are being good fathers is because they want to be with her. Well, she has made it clear that she doesn't want any of them. All she wants is to be there for her son.
It would crush me. It would crush Jordan. And I don't even know what I would tell Jordan.
Why you been playing games for?
What types of games? What types
I don't
of
know
games,
what you
Mr.
mean.
Eastham?
Okay, if they're talking about trying to get their family and all that.
Oh, that's a new truth bomb. Ms. Ray confesses and says that Mr. Eastham has tried to ruin her relationship with Mr. Wise for as long as she can remember. She even says that he sends Mr. Wise messages that indicate that he and Miss Ray had sex just to make him jealous. Wow.
A lot of times it wasn't. There was times, yeah, when me and Josh split up that, yeah, I did get with you.
So Mr. Eastham wanted to sabotage their relationship and you didn't want it to
That's
work.
a lie.
Now it all makes perfect sense. Apparently, Mr. Eastham did not just want to be a best friend to Ms. Ray, he wanted to be her boyfriend, and the fact that he saw her with Mr. Wise did not make him happy. He wanted to be more than a best friend, and that's why he made moves to ruin their relationship. Damn.
It was right after I told him there was a possibility.
Like, you remember when
Like
you sent
I-
me that text that said, I just want you to see your mini you? You remember that?
You look like
Remember
you,
that,
and I
Carl?
acknowledged when you showed your pictures.
I mean, you can't argue with that. Mr. Wise is upset that Mr. Eastham tried to ruin his relationship with Ms. Ray multiple times. But if we're being honest, if Ms. Ray was happy in her relationship with Mr. Wise, she wouldn't have any business kicking it in bed with Mr. Eastham.
Over here and over there and over here and over there and up there and down here and all that.
No, don't make me sound like I'm no hoe that.
But there's, you know.
Yeah. Okay, then.
I love the fact that she's being real. Seems like the only reason she's in the courtroom is to clear the air so everyone can have their peace of mind. Well, let's help them settle that. The results are in, and it's time for us to find out the truth. Who is the father of the child?
When it comes to 2-year-old Jordan and whether Mr. Wise or Mr. Eastham is his biological father, Mr. Wise.
Ms. Lester believes Mr. Lewis denies fathering her 21-month-old son, Rydine, because she's refused to have sex with him anymore. But Mr. Lewis claims it's because Ms. Lester was openly sleeping with other men.
Ms. Lester, you opened this case against Mr. Lewis because you say he 21-month-old son, Raiden.
Yes, Your Honor.
Only because you won't have sex with him.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you want Mr. Lewis to step up after today's result.
I'm curious to see what Mr. Lewis and Ms. Lester have in the bag today. There's a 21-month-old baby involved, and while Mr. Lewis says he is not the father, Ms. Lester insists he is. Let's find out more.
Plant my son?
We did not plan a baby.
Yes, we did.
No, we did not.
We've also never used a condom. We talked about having a baby numerous times, so this is all new to me on why he's not claiming my son.
So you're denying the baby?
These two have no filter and no respect for each other. They just keep jabbing at each other. With the way things are going, Judge Lauren might have to get security in the courtroom. Mr. Lewis knew Ms. Lester was known to sleep around. Why then did he continuously have unprotected sex with her? Something does not sound right with that story.
Seen her at a grocery store one day. She was with another man then, so I didn't say nothing. When I seen her on Facebook, I inboxed her. She inboxed me back saying all guys want to do is have sex.
They met up after a long time when they were both seeing other people. Then, out of the blue, they confessed love to each other and decided to have a baby. Now, this story is just ridiculous. I'm pretty sure Judge Lauren is not buying any of what is being said right now.
I never thought.
Yes, you did, because you kept saying you ain't pregnant, you ain't pregnant.
I
Yes, you
never
did.
thought- I never
Correction.
thought you
Yes, you
was
did.
playing. No, I
And
never thought you
then
playing.
the day I had my son, I did not call him because he knew the day that I was having my son because I had to get a cesarean.
Ms. Lester told another man that he was the father of her son. In fact, this man was at the hospital during the birth, and he signed the birth certificate. Why then is Ms. Lester suddenly pinning the paternity of her son on Mr. Lewis? Could it be possible that he is actually not the father of the child?
I had sex to the other man 2 weeks prior to him getting me finding out I was pregnant.
So why isn't the other man here too?
Because we did a test and it came back that he was not his father.
For what reason did she post paternity results on social media? That's insane. Guess she wanted everyone to know the other guy wasn't the father of her child, but it still doesn't make sense.
I've been shot multiple times to where the doctors have pumped so much medicine in my body. And they told me that I couldn't have kids at all.
And since that time, you haven't fathered any other children.
No.
It's funny how people choose to hold back important details that could help the case go on faster. Up until now, why didn't anyone mention Mr. Lewis's possible sterility and Ms. Lester's fiance? These should be the final pieces to complete the puzzle.
When I got in the picture, Raiden was already, I say, 3 to 4 months.
So you don't believe can't be what? No, actually,
for a
that still doesn't matter because if you've been 10 years on and off.
Not sexually though, Your Honor.
Oh.
You believe it.
It's a shit.
You believe it.
Well. Ms. Lester's got herself a good fiance willing to step up and care for Raiden regardless of who his father is. But we can't figure out how Ms. Lester has been sleeping around while being in a 10-year-old relationship. How do you decide to have a baby with another man when you are engaged to someone else? It doesn't add up.
At the beginning of this year, that's when we decided to be serious with this relationship.
How can she be serious when she just hit me 2 weeks ago?
I called
bucket
him.
naked.
What?
Bucket naked.
I'm
in the tub while he's out of town.
It must be a hell of a ride to be engaged to a woman like Ms. Lester. She claims she and her fiance decided to be committed to each other at the start of the year. But just 2 weeks before this case, she hit on Mr. Lewis.
It's a real joy to me. I've developed this bond with him. He's developed a bond with my family. He's been around all of my family, and they all just love him to death.
And you come and get him every weekend?
Every other week I come and get him. He got clothes and everything at my house.
Mr. Lewis's mom has formed a bond with the baby. Raiden spends time with their family, and Grandma doesn't want that taken away from her. Sadly, only the results can determine if Grandma's gonna get her wish or not.
And I mean, he claimed that he didn't have a father when he was growing up. I don't want that for my son. Off of the decisions and the mistakes that I've made in the past. All we can do from our mistakes is learn from them and make sure that we don't make them again.
Indeed, it'll be a miracle, baby. And if there is one thing we know about paternity court, it is that miracles are always happening here. This is the most miraculous court in the world. The results are in. Let's find out whose baby Raiden is.
Month-old Raiden. It has been determined by this court. Mr. Lewis, you are not the father. You are here in court today to finally find out if the defendant is your biological father. You both claim at your mother's funeral a different man approached you and announced,
"At the time, I haven't seen my mother in 4 years. I was at work, and that's how I found out that my mother had passed away."
Even Judge Lauren can't hide her shock. That would definitely throw her off balance. The fact that something like that even happened at her mother's funeral is just mind-blowing. But where has the man been all this while?
And what was...
I told him, that these are my kids. Supposed to be father was actually a friend of her grandfather's.
You knew this man already?
Yes, sure.
So you grew up knowing this is just a friend of your family?
Seems to me like the only person to blame for this misunderstanding was their mother. Ms. Johnson tells the judge that when her mother was alive, she would sometimes say that Mr. Johnson was their father, and other times she would say the other man was also their father.
She would tell me, I'm unhappy while I was at work. Come on, every man, every woman knows when their partner's cheating on them. And,
did you ever catch her? Did you ever witness firsthand?
I caught her in the man's apartment, but actually caught her activity, no.
That had to have broken his heart. Mr. Johnson says that their mom told him that she was cheating. She constantly nagged about him not spending time with her and how she was unhappy about it. Looks like she found a way to stay happy. Sadly, she left a mess behind.
That's my divorce papers.
So this is a final judgment of divorce.
Yes, Your Honor.
It says the defendant,
yes, Your Honor.
And that would be you, Mr. Johnson.
Yes, Your Honor.
So she relinquished her parental rights.
Yes, Your Honor.
And so, Mr. Johnson, you raised these children on your own.
Yes, Your Honor.
Talk about a man being the perfect example of a good father. He shows Judge Lauren evidence that states that their mother waved away her parental rights to her daughters. I wonder what type of mother would do such a thing to her children. At least they had Mr. Johnson. Thank God for that.
I know this is tough, sir. I do. You were there for all
Regardless.
the monumental moments.
I mean, I was the one that taught them how to be a young lady, how to take care of themselves. That was a fun. That was fun. But thank God, me being a tattoo artist.
I mean, she couldn't have said it any better. Mr. Johnson is truly a good man. Even though he had doubts about the kid, he stood up to his responsibilities and took very good care of their girls. I really hope he is the father for real.
I love my first wife. That was the mother of my children. But and my children know, I used to pay the mother to see them. And that's the reason why it was so long, why they didn't see the mother, having to give her money just to spend time with the kids.
Oh, I understand. You're saying when you had the girl, you wanted the girls to see her.
Man, that is horrible. She has to be the worst mother on God's green earth. Why would you have to be paid to see your own kids? With that type of character, it's not surprising she left them in such a messy situation.
And there was a little boy there, and her mother told her that that was her half-brother or something. And that is also the same one that fathered, the same guy that supposedly fathered her, fathered that child too.
And you were introduced to a little boy and told this was your half-brother?
Yes, Your Honor.
Honestly, they aren't wrong. Kids should not have to deal with things this complicated at a very young age. Imagine not having your mother around and still being introduced to a stepbrother. That's just very messed up. Their mom should have honestly done better.
There's a lot of doubts. My middle sister, I could see my father.
That's Miss Johnson.
Yes, ma'am. Miss Davis, I love her to pieces.
It's okay, sweet.
But
you,
some.
You don't see your father.
No, ma'am.
And that hurts you to have to say.
That is honestly so sad. Everyone is so emotional right now. Their brother walks into the courtroom and he says that there's so much doubt surrounding the paternity of both ladies. One looks like their father and the other just doesn't fit the description. They must really hate their mom right now.
From what he was told, I was just the man that raised her. And that was like taking a knife and stabbing it in my heart. I got upset about it. I actually confronted Melinda about it.
You did. Miss Davis, can you explain what happened? Was there a time when you just felt...
Jeez, everything just keeps stabbing Mr. Johnson in the heart. He has honestly been through so much having to raise these girls on his own. Well, let's see if the DNA results are going to mend all of that damage.
Mr. Johnson Sr., you are his father. Now we'll move on to the results for Miss Johnson. Mr. Johnson Sr., you are her father. In the case of Johnson Davis v. Johnson, Mr. Johnson Sr., you are her father.
Mr. Wiseman is furious as hell. Why? Well, he allowed his good friend to move in with him and his girlfriend, and this good friend of his ended up kicking it in bed with his girlfriend. Now, he fears that his best friend might be the father of their child. Could he be right? Oh well, here's how he opens his case.
You claim he repaid your generosity by sleeping with your girlfriend in a paternity dispute over which of you fathered 2-year-old Brett Wiseman. Mr. New, you claim when you first moved in, your relationship with Mr. Wiseman's girlfriend...
You're speechless, right? Trust me, I am too. In what world does something like this even happen? Mr. New, the supposed good friend, says that he is very protective of Mr. Wiseman's girlfriend because he believes she's carrying his baby. Wow.
How did you even find out Mr. New had slept with your girlfriend?
Somebody in her family came and told me.
What did that person tell you?
We told him ourselves, Your Honor, once we started
What did that person tell you?
You know, they was becoming too close of friends, and they finally told me, like, look, we know for a fact that...
I don't know, man. It feels like there are loopholes in his story. Mr. Wiseman tells the judge that one of his girlfriend's family members told him that she had been sleeping with his friend Mr. New. That definitely can't be the only way he found out she was cheating.
She was at her grandma's house because they was already broke up because he cheated on her so many times and she was letting it go. Knew about it.
Okay.
Knew about it.
She's
knew
the
about
cheater,
it and
just
all
like
that.
That's why he's so protected. He's so protected because you have to be with her. Because if you ain't stuck up her butt 24/7.
I knew something wasn't adding up with the story Mr. Wiseman was telling. Mr. New says that the only reason his girlfriend was cheating on him was because he had cheated on her numerous times with other women. Honestly, I think it's time we actually hear her own side of the story. These grown men are just going at each other like two best friends in high school. Jeez, if they can't get the story right, at least the lady involved is gonna make some sense from the mess.
And then having sexual relations with other women. She never told him that she knew that, so he thought it was all cool. He was
cheating on her.
Yes, he always accused her of cheating when she wasn't. So she did sleep with my cousin a year or two before I even knew him.
I mean, our first 8 months together, she cheated on me with her ex.
That certainly clears the air. Looks like she's the only man in the situation. She said her part plain and simple without acting like a drama queen the way the men in question did. Oh well. She admits to cheating on Mr. Wiseman, and she blames it on the fact that they were having issues in their relationship.
You know, then when I found out about him, so yeah, I definitely had doubts.
Had you found out about Mr. New before you found out Miss Duncan was pregnant, or after?
Kind of before. I mean, I was being told. I was definitely being told by her family that they was sleeping together.
So you heard the rumors?
Yeah.
Hold on. If that's the case, why is Mr. New claiming to be the father? Mr. Wiseman tells the judge that Ms. Duncan had him believe all along that he was the father of the child. Something isn't right, and I can smell it.
Bro, she just plays both parts. She keeps me there and him there. That's all she does.
I know what happened.
Yeah, and he was just a friend.
I'm there every day now supporting your kids, bro.
Okay, no, you ain't.
They're your kids,
Do
bro.
they call you
So hold
dad?
on, Mr. New.
And when Brett's old enough, I bet he does. I bet he does, because I'm the only one does anything for him.
I agree. It's an absolute mess. I'm pretty sure Mr. Wiseman was not prepared to hear that. Ms. Duncan drops a truth bomb and says that she and Mr. New are engaged. Aside from that, she's pregnant with his child. Ouch.
Mr. Wiseman, when you look at Brett, do you see a resemblance?
No.
You don't?
I mean, even with my oldest kid, she was with her boyfriend for 8 months, with me and both of them, then got pregnant with him.
So now you're stating in court today that there's potentially another?
Talk about a mess. It's like they just keep making babies and nobody wants to own up to being responsible for them. You know what? I think it's time we get to the results. That would definitely help us sort out their messy situation.
It has been determined that the biological father is Mr. Wiseman.
Bet he don't.
Well,
Ms. Lima appears in the courtroom, admitting that she made a huge mistake by getting into an affair with the defendant, Mr. who happens to be married. Mr. Anderson hopes that he is not the father of the child, because that would mean his life would be over. It's a big mess, but here's how it all starts.
Ms. Lima, you admit to making a huge mistake and hope it doesn't affect your baby Christina. You had an affair with Mr. Anderson, who is married, and believe he's your daughter's father.
Yes, Your Honor.
On the first night, they had sex on the first night of just meeting up? Wow. Seems to me like that was the whole idea behind their meeting. I very much doubt they wanted anything romantic. Kicking it in bed on the first night clearly states that.
So I couldn't make the trip, so I got on Facebook and I told him, and a few minutes later, his Miss Anderson, she inboxed me and say, like, who are you? So I'm like, well, said I'm his girlfriend of a year, so who are you? She was like, well, I'm his wife of 10 years.
Damn, I'm pretty sure both Ms. Lima and Mr. Anderson's wife would have been very shocked to meet themselves in a manner like that. Let's just say Mr. Anderson was playing his game really well to keep them apart for that long, because Ms. Lima said she never knew he was married.
I decided to go out and take Miss Lima out one night, and me and her went out to, the hotel. I brought her roses and...
This night, or is Miss Lima's assertion that this went on, she told your wife she was your girlfriend for a year?
Well, it does take just one time to make a baby. But then again, I can't believe that Mr. Anderson cheated on his wife just because they had a really bad argument. You can tell his wife is pissed and hurt to her bone. She's in disbelief that he could actually do such a thing.
Was it strange to you that you only saw him on Saturdays and Sundays, or you thought he was working during the week?
Not really, because I went to his house numerous of times, but...
Wait, excuse me.
I went to his house numerous of times, and I told her what was in her house, and I described it to her.
My God. Hold on. Mr. Anderson, where was your family when you would take this woman to your home?
That is just awful. Apparently, Mr. Anderson lied in the courtroom. He initially said that he met Ms. Lima just once, but that was not the case. Ms. Lima says that they met every weekend for almost 2 years, and there were times she even went to his home.
You got this young woman over here describing I'm mad for her.
For some money. She's looking for a cash out.
That's not the case at all. That's not.
Well, if she's looking for a cash out, you gave her the directions. Because you to your treasure.
He honestly needs to be schooled, and I love that Judge Lauren is not sparing him one bit. He says that Ms. Lima is just looking to get some cash from him. Well, he is the one who led her to where the treasure is, like Judge Lauren said. It's just sad that he did this to his lovely wife.
Family at first. I couldn't contact him, so I went to his family, and I got rejected by them. So I was like, well, that really hurted me. So I was just like, well, let me move to the other person that I had sex with during that time.
Oh, hold on. Let me understand this. So you did sleep with another man during the window of conception during that time?
Oh my goodness. They had sex again? Honestly, I doubt Mr. Anderson is sorry about what he did. Oh well, Ms. Lima says that Mr. Anderson was not the only person she had sex with during the window of conception.
Once we messaged each other, I asked her for her phone number because
I want to talk on the phone. You understand? And when she was telling me the things that she was telling me, my whole world it caved in. Like, are you serious? You know, this is my
Because you all
husband.
have built a lot together.
Believe me, I screamed Jesus when she said they have 5 kids together. Mr. Anderson has to be the most inconsiderate human being on earth right now. How can you build so much with your wife and still do her dirty like this? That's very sad and disappointing.
Baby daddy is.
Okay, we're gonna find out today, though.
Really? Really?
Okay.
Huh.
Okay.
Oh my God, this hurts really bad. And I try to keep it together for my children. But it really, really hurts. And just to know that there could be another baby in my family, like, come on.
And truthfully, your marriage.
She's right if we're being honest. It's too late to say he is sorry. He should have known he would end up in such a situation. Who cheats on their wife and then comes to say they're sorry? Come on. He hid it from her for 2 years.
Clear on that?
Yes, Your Honor.
What was the situation?
Well, the situation was when I first met Mrs. Lima, come February, I took her flowers to a job site, took her out to eat on Valentine's Day, and then in March we had a sexual intercourse.
At least she was honest with him. The other man Ms. Lima was sleeping with walks into the courtroom and says that Ms. Lima told him that there's a chance that Mr. Anderson could also be the father of the baby because she was sleeping with the both of them at the same time.
But that's all right. You better go ahead and practice you some law, baby. Go ahead.
He didn't go to any doctor's appointments or anything like that. but
Okay. And that's a very important part of being pregnant.
Correct.
We know. Was Mr. Anderson involved at all?
No, he wasn't there neither.
Okay, and these are the only...
It looks like he wants the child to be his, but he just had doubts about the whole thing. Let's get down to the results. It's time we see if Mr. Anderson's actions have shattered his family.
is the father of 1-year-old Christina. Mr. Scott, you are not her father.
Mr. Harvey says that the defendant, Ms. Jett, forced him to buy baby supplies for a child whom he already denied. He wants the court to refund him all the money he spent in taking care of the child because he knows that he is not the father of the baby. Here's how he starts his case.
Mr. Harvey, you are asking the court to award you $496 and for a child you adamantly deny is yours.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Jett, in response to Mr. Harvey's suit, you have petitioned the court father and say it's time he steps up and...
Excuse me? She got pregnant 2 weeks after they slept with each other? That doesn't sound right. I mean, it takes only once to get pregnant, but 2 weeks seems way too early for her to say that she's pregnant.
I started dating Harvey. Every day.
Moved in with
Yes,
him?
I did. And every day we had sex every day.
You got pregnant
nonstop.
2 weeks.
I didn't find out till I was.
Oh, we had sex the first week I met.
No, I didn't.
Okay, so it's the second
I didn't
week.
find out.
All this yapping. Jeez. Can one person talk? Apparently, Ms. Jett claims that she found out she was pregnant 1 month after they had been having constant sexual relations. Even that story still sounds a little too good to be true.
We stopped talking. She moved back to Orlando. She wrote.
Why'd you stop talking?
Because he was so sexually active with other women. He was cheating on me.
Okay, so there was a...
Aha! Now the stories are beginning to add up. Apparently their breakup happened as a result of Mr. Harvey cheating on her with several women. That's one truth bomb. I'm sure there's more on the way.
1, diapers, 2, baby wipes, 3, pacifiers, 9, a nursing pillow that I showed.
Yes, I said that.
And this is all before the baby's born.
Yes, but
then you responded back.
Okay.
Okay.
Honestly, I'm even surprised Mr. Harvey decided to buy all the items on her funny list. It's even crazy that the baby had not been born before she sent the list to him. She has to be one delusional young woman.
When did you start putting 2 and 2 together? Be specific.
Okay, when I first met Sade, she got pregnant fast, and then we stopped talking. Okay, she was in a relationship.
Your Honor, I didn't
She said she was in a sexual relationship.
Your
That's
Honor,
one.
Your
And
Honor.
another thing is she had the baby
I didn't
and
start-
tagged the dude name in the picture.
That's actually crazy. Mr. Harvey says that his doubts started to pop up when he found out on Facebook that Ms. Jett posted a picture of the baby and tagged another man, claiming that he was the baby daddy. What's even worse is that Mr. Harvey's family members told him about the whole thing.
At all. And I actually have proof that I actually wrote the dude and I said, hey, my daughter, you tagged yourself in the picture. And he said, oh, I'm sorry.
I don't know what
Why would this guy, Ms. Jett? Why would this
And you
guy?
don't know what you writing.
He said that maybe it was an accident that he...
Oh, come on. She can't be serious right now. Does she think she's talking to kids? How can someone randomly pick up her phone and tag himself as the baby daddy of her child, knowing fully that the child already has a dad? Yeah, right.
Here's all the expenses that I've been taking care for of my daughter alone. He's suing me for $500 and plus her feeding is double that.
I'm suing you for what I got a receipt for.
Okay, but her diapers are close to what you're suing me for. Her diapers is
It's starting to get real dicey. Ms. Jett claims that the amount Mr. Harvey is asking her to return is only a fraction of what she spends on her baby, so she doesn't understand why he's making a big deal about the whole thing.
You haven't seen the baby since July. So, Mr. Harvey, your doubt is just based on a Facebook
No, it's not that.
member.
It's not that, Your Honor.
What is it?
Okay, and then another thing is, after she had the baby, she was trying to get pregnant again.
Haha. And just like that, another truth bomb hits the floors of the courtroom. Mr. Harvey says that he went through her phone and he saw some texts where she was telling another guy to pay for an abortion. Guess what? She was not pregnant at the time.
All I know is that when she had the baby, looking at my nephew's other children, we have strong genes. And all his brothers look alike, his brother's kids look alike.
And I have
they have the same heads. Our family had big eyes. His children look just alike from different moms.
Could she have a point or be onto something? Mr. Harvey's aunt says that the baby does not look like anybody in their family. She very much doubts that Mr. Harvey is the father of the baby. But then again, kids don't necessarily have to look like their dad all the time.
He called me and told me that Shadeja was pregnant.
I didn't meet.
No, he hadn't met me, but you called me and told me my daughter is pregnant and how I shouldn't worry about you leaving.
At this point, it's honestly hard to believe anybody right now. Ms. Jett's mother says that Mr. Harvey called her and told her that she should not be worried about him leaving when the baby is born. I think it's time for us to see the results.
Pertaining to 4-month-old Nolani Harvey, v. Jett. Pertaining to 4-month-old Nolani Harvey. Mr. Harvey are not her father.
It's fine. That's fine.
Ms. Hadnot here is completely convinced that Mr. Matthews' wife is the reason why he's denying the paternity of her child. She also says that Ms. Matthews was once her best friend, but once she told her that Mr. Matthews had impregnated her, she also went ahead and got pregnant by Mr. Matthew and then married him. They opened their case like this.
Mr. Matthews, you claim you have doubts about being the biological father of Ms. Hadnot's son because you say she has a reputation. Now, you state that you and your wife hope to put an end to your connection with her when today's results. So, Ms. Hadnot, tell me how this even...
Then Mr. Matthews confirms that he had a sexual relationship with Ms. Hadnot. He then says that he and his wife were best friends before that, but Ms. Hadnot doesn't agree with this version of events at all.
At one time?
Yes.
Mr. Matthews?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, you first had an intimate relationship with Ms. Hadnot. Then, you started one with Ms. Matthews.
Well, her
best friend.
We've been me and my wife been best friends before that.
Your Honor, he said they was cousins.
This seems to support Ms. Hadnot's point. She was in a relationship with Mr. Matthews, got pregnant by him, and then Ms. Matthews got into the picture. That's the problem here. Can you imagine how betrayed Ms. Hadnot must have felt when she found out that her best friend was having a baby by her baby daddy?
You immediately knew it was Mr. Matthews?
No.
Okay. Tell me what happened.
I slept with somebody else around the time that I slept with James, that I could see my son.
Oh well, Ms. Hadnot. It looks like it's scientifically impossible to be sure of who the father of this child is. But Ms. Hadnot doesn't want to accept this. She says she knows who she slept with and is certain the father of her child is Mr. Matthews.
She's always been after money, Your Honor. It's been times where she, can you take me here? Can you take? It's always been about money, finances. She's a gold digger.
So you not only felt like she could have, well, she did sleep with the guy she admits to, you said could be some other people too that she's not admitting to.
Well, if she didn't tell me about that, what else secrets are under the closet?
Okay then, Mr. Matthews. You're a straight shooter. I like that. Mr. Matthews also says that he doubts he's the child's father because he was only called to the hospital after the baby had been born. And not only was he called after the birth, but Ms. Hadnot didn't call him herself.
Tell me you had slept with him.
You didn't ask.
I'm supposed to know.
I wasn't in a relationship with you in the first place. You was a one-night stand, and that's what it was.
Yeah, well, so obviously if I was a one-night stand, who else was a one-night stand? So that's why I have doubt.
Mrs. Matthews, do you know how unlikely and impossible it is to sleep with someone without protection mistakenly? Mistakenly get pregnant? Mistakenly having that baby? And then mistakenly marry them? There's no way you didn't mean that. Nobody can make that many mistakes at a stretch.
Everything. Terry was my heart. I was there for Terry through all her stuff.
And
no matter what. Her grandma, through everything. With her grandpa, all that, I was there for Terry.
Yes, she was.
And she was there for me, but she betrayed me.
Ms. Terry Matthews is the sort of friend you never want to have. She might wake up one day and mistakenly set your house on fire, and then come to court and say it was all an innocent mistake, and that she didn't mean to pour gasoline on your roof.
Your best friend comes to you and says, I'm
pregnant by the same guy too? What did you think?
To tell you the truth, Your Honor, and I told her straight up, you know what? You can have that, because I never wanted him.
Mr. Matthews is just acting obtuse here. Does he really think that Ms. Matthews and Ms. Hadnot were going to remain best friends after he got them both pregnant? How would that even work? Now, to make things worse, Ms. Matthews tells Mr. Matthews that Ms. Hadnot's baby might not be his.
Denied or said that Jamari was not James' son. I get on James when he get to getting his feelings about his doubts. And I'll get to saying, James, let's go get Jamari. Let's do this and let's do that. I push that. I'm the one that goes to the door, picks up Jamari, and does that stuff.
Do it.
Horrible behavior from Mr. Matthews. And it gets worse because the 4-year-old in question is old enough to ask serious questions about his father.
Why my daddy wanted a DNA test for me? That doesn't make sense.
Well, obviously,
he's an innocent child. He didn't do nothing to James or to Terry.
You grew up without your
I didn't
father.
have my father at all while I was growing up, at all, or my mother. So I don't want my son to not have his father.
That's right, there's no reason an innocent child should be suffering because of the mistakes adults make. At this point, you sort of feel sorry for Ms. Hadnot and may think that the child is Mr. Matthews' biological son. Anyway, it's time to see what the DNA results say about all of this.
Case of Hadnot versus Matthews when it comes to the paternity of 4-year-old Jamari Matthews Jones. Mr. Matthews, you are the father.
Thank you. I told you. I hate you, I promise.
Do you know that feeling when your best friend goes running to your boyfriend to tell them all about your different escapades with other men? Well, Mrs. Stremke knows that feeling very well. Her friend told her partner, Mr. Jaramillo, about her different attempts with other men.
Claim your doubt is valid because you were present when another man impregnated Miss Stremke, and the family you thought you were building is not salvageable until you have DNA proof. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Miss Stremke, why is your family falling apart?
And now Mr. Jaramillo doubts that both of his children belong to him. It all began like this. That's right, Mrs. Stremke. Children are extremely wise, and you don't want your child to grow up in that sort of situation. Mr. Jaramillo says this is regrettable, but he really can't do anything about it since the paternity issues get brought up in fights.
When you got pregnant with the oldest daughter, Naviana, what was the issue surrounding her paternity?
I had just gotten out of a relationship with my son's father and had moved back to Iowa. Well, I ended up where I had slept with another man. And this is before me and Mr. Jaramillo had gotten together.
Now, Mr. Jaramillo had never met this friend before, but he believed every word she said. Mrs. Stremke, of course, knew the friend in question and argued that it was all a lie.
Which I really don't understand, because how can you base your daughter's paternity off of some girl you had never even met?
Well, it was one of your friends, you know, you'd spent time with her.
What did she say to you exactly, Mr. Jaramillo?
She said that the baby that Miss Stremke had...
Another thing is that Ms. Stremke and Mr. Jaramillo had only been together for about a month before Ms. Stremke told him that she was pregnant. To make things worse, Naviana was born about 3 weeks early, which makes it seem like the child truly doesn't belong to Mr. Jaramillo. Instead, it's for the man Ms. Stremke slept with before meeting him.
About the time that the other males were present.
I was upfront with you and told you that there was one other person before we had gotten together.
You said one other person, and then came another fellow that your best friend told me about.
I had never slept with anybody but one person besides you, and that was before we had gotten together.
What about the second daughter? What doubts does Mr. Jaramillo have about her? And exactly how did he get those doubts? The answer will probably surprise you.
Well, it wouldn't be the worst thing because we're getting along really well. The question of paternity is not being brought up anymore. And that's when we ended up deciding to spice up our sex life and everything. And we ended up having a female-female threesome with him. So he got to pick another woman.
Mr. Jaramillo's friend didn't come over for pancakes. He came over for a different sort of cake. Mr. Jaramillo invited his friend to have intercourse with his wife, and none of the 3 people involved used any sort of protection. Imagine if they did. It would have protected both of them from showing up in paternity court today.
It was a mutual suggestion between Amber and I. We had gone through it back and forth between Miss Stremke and I. It was a toss-up back and forth. One minute she'd want to do it, the next minute she didn't. And from being with Amber, I know if she's going to do something, it has to be on the spot. So to get it done and over with.
Look, if you want to spice up your marriage, here's some good advice. Don't invite other people into it. If you want to add more excitement to your marriage, go see a movie, get on a jet, and go for a vacation. Anyway, let's find out who the child's birth father is.
Comes to 8-month-old Alexis Jaramillo. It has been determined by this court, Mr. Jaramillo, you are the father. Percival, you past 31 been willing to accept you as his biological daughter. Now, Mr. Hansen, you sleep with Miss Percival's mother.
For 31 years, Ms. Percival had always been told that Mr. Hansen was her father, but he had never been involved in her life, never accepted her, and flat out refused to take a DNA test. Meanwhile, her sister Jessica had been accepted by him from the moment she was born. Mr. Hansen stood firm, denying any possibility that Chantel Percival was his daughter. He claimed he was married, loyal to his wife, faithful, never straying, and definitely not sleeping with Chantel's mother at the time of conception. That was his story, and he wasn't budging.
Miss Percival, please, why you feel Mr. Hansen has rejected you?
I feel like he's rejected me. Well, my whole life I've grown up who my father was, knowing.
Then came the bombshell. Ms. Percival's mother, Charlene, took the stand and calmly shredded Mr. Hansen's claim of loyalty. According to her, he was anything but faithful. They weren't just casually involved. They were going back and forth, seeing each other off and on. At the same time, he was with his wife, Tracy. Charlene admitted she too had another man in her life during that period, but she was certain Mr. Hansen was the father. After all, he was there, in the mix, consistently.
Is it that Mr. Hansen so strongly that he's the father?
I'm not sure why he doubts it, because of the simple fact I was with, and I told her, going back and forth, each other back and forth, and then...
Mr. Hansen insisted he'd never cheated, never slipped up, not once. He even bragged about a 20-year marriage where he claimed fidelity was his badge of honor. But there was one glaring problem with his timeline. Ms. Percival was born just 1 month apart from another daughter Mr. Hansen did acknowledge. That's right, 2 babies, 28 days apart. Coincidence? Ms. Percival didn't think so, and neither did her mother.
And the fact that your daughters are your contention that he in fact was going back and forth.
Correct, Your Honor. Father.
That's a lie. That's a lie. With her after we...
But as the conversation unfolded, the details became juicier. Mr. Hansen had been involved with another woman at the time of the alleged conception, a woman who would soon walk into the courtroom holding the key to a shocking revelation. The courtroom was about to be filled with more drama than anyone could have anticipated.
We're gonna have you go to the podium on the left.
Really? Are you serious? I can't wait for child support.
Huh?
Hold on 1 second before you state your name for the court.
Tracy Merchant.
Mr. Hansen, of course, denied everything. Again, claimed Tracy cheated on him and even brought up an alleged affair with his own brother to deflect. Suddenly, paternity wasn't the only thing in question. There were accusations flying like bullets in every direction. But amid the chaos, one thing stood clear. Mr. Hansen's denials were losing credibility fast.
No, you cheated on me.
So, Mr. Hansen,
Yes, Your Honor.
also denying that Miss Hansen is your daughter.
50-50 chance.
Yeah, no.
This was clearly a very emotional moment for Teresa. Imagine your dad saying that to you. When Teresa was around 11, Mr. Hansen told her that there was a possibility that he was not her father and another member of the family was her birth father. Imagine burdening a kid with such adult business.
So you grew up not knowing if either the person you thought was your father or your uncle was your biological.
It was brought up with him.
Mr. Hansen tried to make what little amends he couldn't. He promised to be for them no matter what the results said, but the sisters aren't going to let him off easily. Ms. Percival presented evidence that showed that Mr. Hansen had been with her mother.
But I have a real, and I don't mean to make you feel bad in any way. I'm not that kind of put you in my life.
If you're not that kind of person and didn't want to make me feel bad, why would you?
The sisters also told the court how not having a father figure in their lives ruined their adulthood. Both sisters had gone after older men in search of that connection, and both had given birth by 16. Now is the moment for truth.
Mr. Hansen, you.
They say the truth always comes out in the end, but no one expected it to come crashing down like this. Not in front of Judge Lake, not with 2 innocent kids hanging in the balance, and certainly not with this level of chaos. Ashanti Clifton marched into court determined to prove that Sam Little was the father of her twins. Her goal? To get him to resume financial support.
Miss Clifton, you say the defendant, Mr. Little, stopped paying for your twins after finding out another man was also providing money. Now you say you are seeking the results of a paternity test to prove he's their father.
She said Mr. Little had been helping out until he discovered another man was also contributing money. That's when he slammed the brakes on any support, leaving Ashanti struggling. She didn't mince words. Yes, she had help from other men, but no, none of them thought they were the father. To her, Sam is the father at the end of the story, but Sam wasn't buying it.
Now, Mr. Little, you argue that when Miss Clifton's twins were 4 months old, you learned another man had claimed them as his own.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, you say she's all about the money?
Yes.
Well, the situation wasn't as simple as it seemed. Their whole relationship started when Ashanti came looking for a car, and Sam, a mechanic, helped her out. One thing led to another, and soon enough, the car wasn't the only thing getting serviced. They hooked up during the car hunt, and Ashanti later described him as husband material, someone who seemed like a jackpot. That jackpot came with a catch, though. He failed to mention he had a wife.
You have multiple men supporting your children.
Your Honor, I'm a full-time nursing student. I work 19 hours a week, and I get paid $7.25 an hour. I have 3 children. My oldest boy plays football. I need help. If I can't do it for the kids, if they need something, if I can't do it...
Even after their relationship fizzled out, Ashanti kept Sam in her life, as her mechanic. But let's not pretend that was all. According to her, she came in one day and couldn't afford to pay for repairs, and Sam hinted at a different kind of payment. She left that day with her car, her cash, and allegedly a pregnancy.
You were her personal mechanic?
Yes, Your Honor, but the thing is, me and my wife were separated at the time. She actually broke it off with me instantly then.
And you didn't see him anymore?
Only to get my car worked on. I still kept him as my... I still kept him as my...
Things escalated quickly after that. When she called to tell him she was expecting, Sam didn't question it. He accepted it, for a while at least. Then came the twist. A text message, meant for another man, landed in his inbox. It was filled with affection and gratitude, even thanking the other guy for everything he did for the kids. Wait, what?
Pay for your car repair?
She didn't get a car repair, Your Honor. She just got a written estimate that day.
I'm coming to pay him this day for what he had done to my car. I left with my car and I left pregnant.
Oh,
and I left with my money.
So you're saying that was the day you got pregnant?
Absolutely.
After that day, when we had sex, I hadn't seen Miss Clifton for...
According to Ashanti, the other man never believed he was the father, but Sam wasn't convinced. Why would this other guy even be in the picture helping with the twins if he truly thought he had no biological ties?
Tell the man that this other man that's helping you thought it was a possibility that he was the twins' father.
He knows about Mr. Little. He knows they Mr. Little children. He knows that they are not his. This man knows that.
When confronted, Ashanti admitted the man thought there was a possibility the twins were his. Sam's trust crumbled. The mystery deepened when Sam revealed that he had gone to her house to bring goodies for the children, but he saw a man sneaking past him. Now, the seeds of doubt had been planted.
Is there any other reason you think
Yes,
this
ma'am. Yes, Your Honor. Okay.
other man could be the father of the twins?
She sent me a text one night. She said the kids have no Pampers, no milk. I leave my shop, go to Walmart, buy a big box of Pampers,
50 pack,
2 big containers of...
Ashanti had come with her mother as a witness that Sam was not acting right. The mother chalked everything down to jealousy. For her, Sam is jealous that Ashanti had other men in her life, and that's why he no longer wants to contribute to the children's welfare.
My name is Karan Clifton. Ashanti is my daughter.
Hello, ma'am. What would you like to add? What do you know about this situation?
Well, first of all, my daughter is self-sufficient. She's always worked and gone to school, and I'm very proud of her. Sam started out being a proud father.
As the moments dragged on, the pressure in the courtroom was almost unbearable. Samuel was caught in a whirlwind of emotions. He wanted to believe Ashanti, but the evidence didn't add up. Could the other man really be the father? When the DNA results finally came out, Judge Lake didn't waste words.
Mr. Little, you are not.
Ms. Schwartz stood before Judge Lake, her heart heavy with the weight of uncertainty. She was fighting for something more than just justice. She was fighting for the truth about her daughter, Azalyn. The 9-month-old child had become the center of a bitter dispute, and Ms. Schwartz was adamant that Mr. Hatton was the father.
Ms. Schwartz, you opened your case to prove to the defendant that he fathered your 9-month-old child, Azalyn.
Yes.
You understand his doubt, but state he is her father. Is that correct?
Yes.
Mr. Hatton, however, had a completely different story. He wasn't just denying the paternity of Azalyn, he was convinced that the birth father was someone else entirely, Ms. Schwartz's husband. Yes, her husband.
Mr. Hatton, you claim you are not Azalyn's dad and are certain that her biological father is another man, and that man is the plaintiff's husband.
Yes, Your Honor.
Additionally, you have petitioned the court for a polygraph test on Ms. Schwartz to determine the extent of her alleged affairs. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Schwartz revealed that despite the couple's 2 other children, Mr. Hatton had coldly refused to accept his potential role in Azalyn's life. Her words were filled with the pain of rejection, as she spoke of her daughter's disappointment when she looked up at her supposed father. There were moments, Ms. Schwartz admitted, when it felt like Mr. Hatton was more involved with everyone but her daughter.
Why are today's results so important to you? What does it feel like that he's denying your child?
It hurts. It really does hurt, because we have 2 other children together and he fathers them, but little Azalyn is left out.
And you can feel that difference.
I feel my daughter's pain whenever she looks up at him.
But Mr. Hatton fired back with accusations that cut to the core. According to him, Ms. Schwartz's life was reckless. She had a history of jumping from one relationship to another, and he wasn't about to be dragged into a situation he didn't believe in.
Your Honor, I have reason to believe that she's not at work like she's saying she is, okay? Who makes almost $11 an hour, paid every 2 weeks, and only brings home $100? I mean, come on. I was born at night, just not last night.
What the heck is going on? Oh, but it wasn't over. The twists kept coming. It was evident that the boyfriend's emotions had gotten the better of him. If only Ms. Schwartz would stop going to her husband.
You in bed with your boyfriend calling your husband to cry to him about how horrible your boyfriend is.
Yeah. I mean, how am I supposed to feel? Yeah.
Oh, excuse me, hold up. You sat there in bed with me in the same bed with you calling your ex, so what makes it different?
Hatton claimed Schwartz disappeared multiple times and magically returned pregnant. He wasn't impressed, and to make things even more chaotic, he claimed she broke the news while walking out of a bathroom bar where he had been shooting pool. Not exactly your typical pregnancy reveal. Despite all the drama, Hatton stuck around during the pregnancy, but now he wanted nothing to do with the baby because he was convinced she wasn't his.
Involved in the pregnancy when Aslan was born? Were you there when
I was involved in her pregnancy, even though I don't think the child's mine. I wanted to be a support for her.
He went to the doctor's appointments.
He did?
He was excited about the gender whenever I found out at 10 weeks pregnant.
I ain't gonna lie, but...
Schwartz said she practically begged him to get the DNA test done so he could claim Aslan and help her get insurance, but Hatton refused, saying he was just the caretaker of the child, not the father.
I wanted to go to the child support office right after I got out of the hospital to prove to you that she was your daughter, and you didn't even want to go.
So take me to the birth. When Aslan was born, the day she was born.
Man, she wanted me to look between her legs and pull the baby out. I ain't no doctor.
Then came the moment everyone had been waiting for, the entrance of Ms. Schwartz's husband, Mark. He stepped into the courtroom to give his perspective, and what followed was explosive. Mark told the court how he had learned about the relationship and the multiple others Ms. Schwartz had been involved in. It was clear that the dynamics of their relationship had been anything but smooth.
How did you first find out about Mr. Hatton?
She told me she was cheating on me, and I let her go.
And I was also calling him on the phone right in front of you.
Yeah, and you guys even got into an argument one night, and I picked the phone up, called Hatton back, and talked you guys through it.
The drama didn't end there either. Mark also revealed that he had even tried to mediate between his wife and Mr. Hatton. As the case reached its peak, it seemed that nothing was certain anymore except the results.
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Hatton.
For over 2 decades, Don Baron had lived with a nagging suspicion, one that gnawed at him every time he wrote a child support check. He had spent more than $20,000 supporting a boy he was told was his son, all while battling a gut feeling that something didn't add up. And now, standing in front of Judge Lake, he was finally about to find out the truth.
Good day, Mr. Here today, along with your wife, to seek a long overdue test. You claim that Ms. Bradshaw, you are her father for 20 years, and has financially by forcing you to pay court for a child you isn't yours.
Yes, Your Honor.
Miss Bradshaw, the child's mother, had maintained for years that Don was the father, but here's where things get messy. She'd also told her son, Ian, that another man, Mike, was his real dad.
Bradshaw, you admit, Ian Scott, by lying to him, fathers, you claim you believe Mr. Barron is your son's father. A moment, and you are his DNA, finally his full identity.
Yes.
Now,
Don's wife, Sharon, wasn't buying any of it. She called Bradshaw a liar through and through, adamant that Don was sterile. In 25 years of being together, she'd never gotten pregnant, not once. And now, she had to watch as her husband's name was dragged through the mud, accused of fathering a child with another woman.
Why do you believe Ms. Bradshaw is lying about son's father?
She's a liar. I've been with him for years and I don't have any children to him.
How could you be with him for 20? My son is 25. With him at the same time.
Hold on, we're still coming to you, Sharon. But why would someone go to such lengths? Well, Bradshaw admitted it herself. She was ashamed. Of what? Of Don. Apparently their relationship had ended badly, with accusations flying in all directions.
Hold on one sec. Now, Mrs. Barron, why do you believe she's lying? I mean, this has been a long accusation. Your husband's been child support. Why?
She's a liar. She said it was his child. He believed responsibility for it.
The air was thick with drama, and the twists kept coming. She accused Don of cheating. He claimed she slept with his brother. Oh, and now she's dating his cousin. Yep, it's that kind of story.
You thought thought he was going to take the DNA test.
Yes.
Why didn't you take the DNA, Mr. Barron?
Because then she started cheating on me, sleeping around, and I grave was over.
Remember Mike? The one that was allegedly the real dad? Well, get this. Sharon took Ian to the man's grave year after year, feeding him a lie while cashing Don's child support checks. A graveyard visit became a yearly tradition, all based on fiction.
Miss Bradshaw, I need to... You took your son to the grave. The deceased man that told him was his father.
Yes, I did. And I was wrong, totally wrong for doing it. Because I...
But when you took him to the grave...
The courtroom was a battlefield. Sharon wasn't just standing by her man, she was ready to tear Bradshaw apart. As for Don, he confessed he once believed Ian was his. Back in the day, Bradshaw told him he was the dad, played the love card, and he fell for it. No DNA test, no questions asked, until she dropped the bombshell.
Mr. Barron, so even after all these years that you've paid child support, in your heart you have doubt. You don't believe you're his father.
Yes, Your Honor. I'm hoping I am, but...
You are hoping that your statement to the court, you enumerated many reasons.
And let's not forget the son, Ian. He'd lived 25 years not knowing who his real father was. Told one thing, then another. He eventually learned the man in the grave couldn't be his dad because Bradshaw only got with Mike after Ian was born. That hit hard. Ian broke down, recounting how he'd gone to the grave whenever life got tough, talking to the headstone like it was his dad, only to find out the truth through rumors.
A deceased man's grave and telling you that that was your father.
Yes, ma'am.
What do you feel? How are you?
When I first found out that his dad wasn't my father, I was just devastated. I was very hurt, and emotions built up.
The emotional toll was crippling. Don, despite everything, hoped Ian was his son, that maybe, just maybe, there was a silver lining to all the pain and betrayal. He wanted closure. Sharon? She wanted vindication. Bradshaw? She just wanted the chaos to end. And Judge Lake? Well, she had the answer. Everyone in that courtroom was desperate to hear.
Mr. Barron, you are not the father.
Samantha Dixon had dragged herself to court after a long, painful battle with stage 3 lymphoma. She wasn't here for money or sympathy, she just wanted the truth. All her life, she'd carried the weight of rejection from a man who, at first, seemed to embrace her. Then suddenly he turned cold, distant, and eventually absent. And now, standing across from her in court, he had only one thing to say. He wasn't her father.
Oh, Ms. Dixon, today you come to court after a very difficult journey and some grave health issues. Statement. You say you believe that Mr. Royo is your father.
She described the emotional toll it had taken on her over the years, especially in her battle with cancer. Samantha's words were quiet, yet every one of them hit the courtroom with a weight that no one could ignore. She recalled the time when she was 10 years old attending her grandmother's funeral. It was a day that should have been filled with grief and comfort, but instead, it was marred by trauma.
How does it make you feel that Mr. Royo is denying you?
It makes me angry and hurt. I was diagnosed with cancer, and recently I've been very ill. I would like my father to be there. I want to know. 25, I've gone this far, I don't want anything from him.
How could a father, even one with doubts, say something so cold? But the story was messier than that. Samantha's mother flat out denied the existence of this so-called other man. She insisted that Froyo denied Samantha because she was born a girl.
Froyo, why are you so sure that you're not Ms. Dixon's father? Because she truly feels rejected by you.
Well, she was about 6 or 7 years old. I had contacted her mother, which is to the right of her right now, and asked if I could take her out for her birthday and buy her stuff.
She recalled how he abandoned her at the hospital right after the birth, refusing to even sign the child's last name as Froyo because apparently it would upset his mother. That's why Samantha's last name was Dixon. Convenient, isn't it?
I don't deny anything.
He wanted a boy. He left me in the hospital right after I gave birth and did not come back to that hospital.
Today will prove it, Your Honor.
This will prove it today.
Like he said, he's got older children. All 4 of us are in a row, from oldest to youngest. My name's on his arm.
For Mr. Froyo, things weren't so simple. He claimed he had been told by another man that Samantha wasn't his child. That random man, according to Froyo, boldly approached him and declared he was Samantha's birth father and had no interest in proving it officially. Froyo held on to that statement like gospel. It confirmed his suspicions, and he distanced himself from Samantha even more.
Even 5 years ago.
5 years ago, my son and myself were in Florida, and this gentleman came in, which was a friend of his. He goes, Samantha has never been your daughter. I go, what do you mean? My son sat next to me. He says, she's mine, and I'll never go to New York State to prove any different.
Well, I'd like to know who he is, really.
According to Samantha, she was part of his life until she wasn't. She recounted moments of love, racing motorcycles together, him calling her by a nickname, making her feel special, and then it all disappeared. He began denying her, first quietly, then loudly. He told her she wasn't his, not once or twice, but at every major stage of her life. First at 8, then again at 15, then again at 17, and now, at 25, she was still chasing answers.
Circumstances.
When I was about 13, no, it was when my grandmother died, so we'll say from 10 to 13, he was dating a girl who didn't like me. She considered me to be a ghetto hood rat because I didn't have the best of the best. So I called his phone because I always find his number. I have his number now because I've never let go of the memories when I was 5.
Despite all that, she still reached out. She called him, searched for his number, and held on to memories of the man who once showed her affection. But each time she reached out, she got nothing but rejection.
Tell you,
Miss Dixon,
at 14, I went down the wrong path. I decided that I didn't have a dad. I had no male figure in my life to lay the law. My mom was working 60 hours a week to support the home. She had 2 other kids besides me. 14, I reached out to boys.
He signed the birth certificate. He tattooed her name on his arm. He once called her his good luck charm. Yet here they were, in court, and he was swearing up and down that she wasn't his daughter. His attitude towards her was toxic, with a capital T.
And she told me that he wasn't my father, which is why I'm here today, because I don't need a sympathy and I don't need a charity case. I've done enough without his help. I really don't need him. I just want to know that this next battle of cancer that I'm facing.
Judge Lake wasn't having any of Froyo's cold detachment. She questioned his lack of compassion, especially given Samantha's health struggles. But Froyo stayed firm. He wanted proof. That's what he came for, and Judge Lake was ready to deliver.
Mr. Froyo, you are her father.
Told you. That was Papa asked me.
They'd been together for years, had 5 children, and had countless arguments. But today, they weren't here to argue. They were here for a truth that could shatter what little was left of their relationship. The tension between Alexandra Douglas and Tyrone Jones could be sliced with a knife. She insisted he was the father of her daughter, Cheyenne. He wasn't so sure.
Ms. Douglas, you are suing the father of your 5 children for a paternity test. You claim at times the defendant, Mr. Jones, doesn't treat your daughter, Cheyenne, as his own, and that he has always been suspicious that he's not her biological father.
Let's just say their love story wasn't your average fairy tale. And when the court pulled back the curtain on their chaotic relationship, things got messy, fast.
Do you believe the defendant has reason to doubt the paternity of Cheyenne?
Yes, Your Honor, I do. I did make a mistake. I slept with this cousin and the condom had broke. But before that, Tyrone was downstairs sleeping with my cousin. He was still having sex with his baby's mom.
Wow, indeed. It turned out that they met at a party in her building, hit it off, and within a day, they were in bed. But it didn't end there. Tyrone had other relationships, other baby mamas, and wasn't exactly faithful. Alexandra, well, she wasn't innocent either.
How did you meet? Was this relationship ever good?
It got good. I met Tyrone actually at a party that happened downstairs in my building. I met him and his cousin almost the same night. Me and Tyrone got together the first night we watched movies. The next night we did have sex, but we weren't.
She admitted to sleeping with Tyrone's cousin, and not just any cousin, but the same one Tyrone had accused her of hooking up with when he literally smelled the guy's cologne on her bed. Yes, Tyrone walked into her room, sniffed the sheets, and caught the scent of betrayal. She denied it at first, but 2 years later, she came clean.
Sort of. We actually wasn't in a relationship at the time when she slept with my cousin, but she basically just denied doing it up until the point. That's the reason we here now.
Okay. What did you feel, Mr. Jones, when you heard Ms. Douglas say, "I'm pregnant and it's..."
Now Tyrone was doubting everything, including whether Cheyenne was truly his. He had been suspicious from the start. When Alexandra told him she was pregnant, he didn't jump for joy. Still, he claimed he stepped up, signed the birth certificate, showed up when he could, and even worked 2 jobs.
So you go in and you smell, you know the cologne, your cousin, you say, okay, I know my cousin was here, but she denied everything. How long did it take you to tell the truth?
2 years after my daughter was 2 years old.
Okay, so you are in this, are you in a committed relationship?
No.
According to her, he didn't care, didn't support her, and vanished for months when she was pregnant with their son, running off to Chicago with another baby mama. She didn't find out from him. Oh no, she got a message from the other woman, gloating about having her man.
When the baby was 2, he went to Chicago with his other's baby mama. We were together then, and I'm pregnant with his son. He went to Chicago. We didn't hear from him for about 4 months. Didn't call check up on the daughter, didn't call check up on the pregnancy or nothing. How I knew he was in Chicago with baby mama was she texted my phone like, "Oh, you're looking for your man?"
Judge Lake didn't hold back. She was baffled, trying to make sense of this whirlwind of relationships, children, and cheating. She asked the tough questions. Was this ever a real relationship? Was there ever any commitment? Or were they just co-parenting while destroying each other emotionally?
It's as if you're speaking about this thing like it's, oh yeah, because I was with my other child's mother and I just went on to Chicago and then he went there. And I mean, you all 5 children potentially together. Was your relationship ever committed? Was it ever an important thing to either one of you?
Their story was a twisted cycle of betrayal. When one cheated, the other followed suit. Alexandra wanted to believe in their family. She claimed she didn't believe in cheating, but her actions told a different story. Every time he cheated, she struck back. It wasn't about love anymore. It was about payback. And now, Tyrone was questioning everything, even whether he should test the twins because he wasn't sure if they were his either.
Even after child number 2, you think he's cheating?
Yeah. I just had my twins 7 months ago. He's still talking to women. I don't never talk to anybody first. After I find out he cheats on me, that's when I do it. I really do want to be with him, and I want to make a family for my 5 kids.
Now, Ms. Douglas, you just keep saying, okay, now see, I do.
But today the focus was Cheyenne, and after all the messy details, the lies, the betrayals, the cousin drama, there was still one burning question. Was Tyrone Cheyenne's biological father? The courtroom fell silent as Judge Lake dropped the bomb.
Mr. Jones, you are not Ms. Stremke, you've dragged Mr. Jaramillo to court in hopes of saving your family, which you claim is falling apart due to paternity denial. You say the defendant doubts paternity for both of your daughters, 4-year-old Naviana and 8-month-old Alexis, but you want to prove that he is their father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
The lovers spat to the utmost dismay of Judge Lauren was happening right in front of the kids, with the 4-year-old Naviana, who was confirmed by both parents as being a smart kid, picking up some cues, which left the poor child wondering who her real father is, further driving a wedge into the cracks.
Part because my daughters are basically growing up how I had to. We didn't have both parents, and even when we did have both parents present at different times, we were denied. I feel like they can't trust their dad because he denies that he's their dad half the time. And my 4-year-old Naviana knows. She can hear the, well, I'm not her dad anyway.
Mrs. Stremke almost broke down in tears as she narrated how they met at the tender age of 13 in a lockup facility. Apparently, they both had rough childhoods growing up, and she's trying her very best to give her daughters something different.
It's on the line now?
Yes.
How did it begin?
We met very young. I was 13. We met in a lockup facility we were both staying at. We had no choice. We didn't have good childhoods at all, so we had to stay there. I see it now, and I don't want it to go down that road to where they have to go through what we did. And it's... Sorry, I'm getting emotional.
The plot thickens as the circumstances surrounding her first pregnancy are brought to light. There were several men in the picture, one whom she had a son for before reuniting with Mr. Jaramillo when she returned to Iowa, and another whom she slept with 3 weeks before coupling up with Jaramillo.
13 years old. He said that I was gonna, be his baby's mom a long time ago. And it's hurtful now that, yes, I am your daughter's mom. And it just gets shoved under a rug and forgotten about because he doesn't feel that those are his kids. I had just gotten out of a relationship with my son's father and had moved back to Iowa. Well, I ended up...
One of her closest friends went behind her back and snitched to Mr. Jaramillo that Mrs. Stremke had been sleeping around with numerous men, and the pregnancy was not his. This led to the doubt Mr. Jaramillo had about the daughters.
She called and decided to tell him that I was sleeping with multiple men, and from that point on, he had doubted it, which I really don't understand because how can you base your daughter's paternity off of some girl you had never even met?
Well, it was one of your friends, you'd spent time with her.
What did she say to you exactly, Mr. Jaramillo?
She said that the baby that Miss Stremke had...
The birth certificate of Naviana, which was presented in the courtroom, shows that Mr. Jaramillo fully accepted that he was father, which he later chalked up as a spur-of-the-moment decision as he was happy then, but eventually the resentment concerning her paternity started seeping in.
The biggest sign was cigarettes. Anybody that had smoked and came back in anywhere around me, I'd instantly throw up. And that's how I know really early on.
But what I want you to understand is that, he gets this call and somebody says, this is not your baby, this is the person she was with before you.
Yes.
It's his baby.
The wife revealed that she was perfectly okay with having one child at the time. The husband was pressuring her for another child, a male child. She ultimately caved into his demands and they decided to spice up their sex life by having a threesome. To top it off, he even brought his own male friend to participate in the second threesome. Even Judge Lauren was bewildered.
That's the part that is the hardest for me to believe because I was done having kids. After I had a boy and I had a girl. I didn't want any more. I pushed my luck. I have a boy, a girl, they're both amazing kids. And there was a point in time where the whole paternity of Naviana was not brought up and he was practically begging me for another child.
No protection was used during the threesome. The entire courtroom heaved out a huge sigh. Judge Lauren shook her head in disbelief. 3 weeks later, she was pregnant with their second daughter, Alexis. He said he takes full responsibility for the mishap. When Alexis was born, he didn't sign the birth certificate. He felt, considering what happened, leading to the pregnancy, that there was no need. He also added that Alexis looks like his buddy.
We ended up having a female-female threesome with him, so he got to pick another woman, and it was what it was. We did it, and then it was maybe a couple weeks later it got brought up. It'd only be fair if we had a male, and you. So I said, okay, all right, that's fine. It's something new.
The wife and the husband have been calm throughout the whole hearing. This was commended by the judge, but neither of them is ready to concede to the other. Only the DNA results can put an end to this. The moment of truth.
Mr. Jaramillo, you are the father.
A middle-aged woman, Venus, 56 years old, comes to Judge Lauren's courtroom to defend her deceased son. He died from a violent gun crime. His name was Dominique. The accuser, in the shape of Amber, 21 years old, says Venus's deceased son is the father of her child, and she's here to prove it.
Ms. Mangrum, you're here today after losing your son to a violent crime. You say the defendant, Ms. Schools, is claiming your deceased son is her child's father, which you say is impossible.
Yeah.
Ms. Schools, you say you have no doubt that Mr. Mangrum fathered your child, and today you will prove it to his family. How did you find out about Ms. Schools' pregnancy,
Mrs. Venus said she was made aware of the pregnancy on the day her son died. Amber approached her at the hospital and told her that her son is the father. Amber countered her statement. She said she messaged Venus on Facebook first, before approaching her at the hospital.
That I didn't want to hear. No time. No, I just didn't want it.
So, Ms. Schools, is that how it happened?
No, it's not. I actually wrote her on Facebook and told her, I was like, hey, Miss Venus, my name is Amber. I'm actually downstairs. I was like, I don't know if Dominique told you or not, but I'm actually 3 months pregnant with his baby. I was like, I'm downstairs in the hospital.
Amber said she was very emotional upon seeing him hooked up to tubes and machines in the hospital. Venus rubbed her back, that everything will be okay. Venus interrupted her. That was not how it happened. She didn't remember any of that. She was too overwhelmed with her son's condition to care.
Be okay, don't worry.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No. That did not.
That didn't happen.
So sorry. No, I don't remember none of that. Now, the Facebook thing, okay, came after Dominique was already gone.
Right, but you got it. And you told me you got it.
And I wrote you back.
Venus said that before her son died, he told her that about 4 girls were claiming they were pregnant for him. She was acquainted with 2 of the girls, but she never heard of Amber.
I did not care.
I understand you.
Like
yes, I do.
My son told me several times, okay, that there is about 3 or 4 girls who say they pregnant by him. Now, I knew about 2 of the girls, okay? I knew about 2 of the girls, but I never met Amber.
Amber said during the pregnancy, she kept Venus updated with everything, including baby showers. Venus responded positively with prayers and promised to come visit her at the hospital, which she did. Venus said she picked the baby up and immediately knew her son was not the father. She knew from the baby's hair.
Where he sent me little forwarded messages off Facebook with prayers and stuff, telling me she loved me and, you know, she's coming to the hospital to see me and my baby and stuff like that. And she came and saw my baby for about a couple minutes. She came and sat there like the second day I had my daughter. She came to the hospital.
Venus said she was tired of Amber bringing up the issue, that she needed no reminder of her late son's face, that the only reason she was in the courtroom was to put the matter to bed once and for all. She was screaming at this point. A heated argument broke out. Judge Lauren had to use the gavel to bring them to order.
Beautiful hair. Beautiful.
All Mangrum babies had a head full of hair when they were born. Every last one of them. You know, Amber, I apologize, you know, but I honestly did not want the baby to be his baby.
Why is that?
I did not. Because I did not. Mine is of my baby.
With glistened eyes, Venus narrated how she dealt with her son's demise by avoiding his Facebook. The judge reminded her that a beautiful baby was in court today. Amber iterated that only Dominique's father was kind to her. This prompted the judge to call Dominique's father to the stand to give his own version of events.
He did so much to me, like words, verbally. It was.
Miss Schools, I have to say this. I don't think you were trying to do anything malicious. I just think, unfortunately, this mother at that time could not process it all. Now her husband, Dominique's father.
Yeah.
The father said he was aware of Amber's pregnancy because Dominique introduced her to him. Venus interrupted that she was not aware. When did this happen? He said he's not here to argue, that he's sticking with what his son told him. Venus said she doesn't believe it, that a DNA test was initially done, which came back negative.
It is. It's just a fight, you know what I'm saying? Between them, and it's like, I don't want to be in the the middle of it. However it goes, I would still like to be around.
DNA was taken from Dominique's body after the day he passed away. The documents were presented to the judge. Amber said since it was blood transfusion, it could be wrong. Venus interjected that Amber was living with another man at the time. Amber said she wanted to undergo a DNA test then to determine who the father was. At this point, only the new results can tell.
When it comes to 18-month-old Dominique Samaya Mangrum is not related to Andre and Venus Mangrum.
Mr. House, a 48-years-old bishop, appears in Judge Lauren's courtroom, being accused by Ms. Webster, a 20-years-old woman, of being the father of her child. It was made known by the judge that Ms. Webster was involved with 3 men at the time. One of them, who was 9 years older than her, was waiting outside the courtroom.
Mr. House, you're a church pastor and bishop who may have fathered a child with a woman who's 28 years younger than you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Ms. Webster, you admit you were involved with 3 different men during the time you conceived your daughter, including Mr. House.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. House met Ms. Webster when he took on a new assignment in New York. They hit it off immediately, bonding over tragedies. He never for once assumed they were in a committed relationship.
I had in Jacksonville, moving to Buffalo, New York, take on a new assignment as a pastor. I'm a bishop, but I'm also a traveling pastor. But I'm also a man. I want to stress that right away, that I'm a man and I have manly needs. So it doesn't mean that I won't see a woman, but I'm also a pastor.
Ms. Webster said she met Mr. House through her aunt. It was supposed to be a Bible study, but one thing led to another and it became sexual. Mr. House interrupted her. He said they met at a fast food joint and exchanged numbers. Ms. Webster refuted the statement that it was at church.
We could probably, make a relationship and go a little bit further as time went along.
So, Ms. Webster, please tell us a little bit about the relationship as you saw it.
We met through my aunt. We met at a church. It was supposed to have been like a Bible study thing, but instead of that, it was like more.
Judge Lauren had to step in to refrain the bishop from calling Ms. Webster derogatory names. The bishop said it was just a hookup, a booty call. The courtroom gasped. Ms. Webster agreed that it was just a casual relationship, nothing more. She said she was also sleeping with her boyfriend of 5 years at the same time, Mr. Miles Jones.
Well, in Hosea chapter 4, God called Gomer a whore.
Well, we're not in Hosea chapter 4. We in paternity court, and I'm the judge, and in this courtroom, we're going to respect women. Now, you can tell the story without calling her name.
Mr. Miles was called to the stands. He said his relationship with Ms. Webster started off casual, before becoming a committed one. He said he was not aware that she was sleeping with other men at the time. The judge said it seems only Ms. Webster was aware of both men. She nodded in agreement.
Andre Miles Jones.
Mr. Miles Jones. All right, we are here with Ms. Webster. And of course, we are discussing the paternity as it relates to little Emilion.
Yes.
So was this a relationship or was this just casual sex? What were you guys doing?
It was, at first it started off as casual sex for about 2 to 3 weeks, and then I started catching feelings.
When Ms. Webster found out she was pregnant, she tried contacting the bishop. His phone was off. When she gave birth, she couldn't reach him for any support. Mr. Miles said he had to provide the child with diapers and stuff.
I did. She'll tell you that her phone was off. Her phone went on. My bankroll's on spoil, and I kept hers on spoil as well, too.
Never. My phone bill was off of 2 months.
I'm sure glad your bankroll is on swole for baby Emilion, just in case you end up being the father.
The bishop said he never knew about pregnancy. He only found out about 30 days ago through her aunt, and he came right away.
I just found out less than 30 days ago at the most that she had a baby. Her auntie called my superiors in my organization, and I got a phone call saying there's some woman saying that you left her with child in New York. I made the phone call, and I was told 30 days ago, just 30 days ago.
Mr. Miles said he found out about the pregnancy after 5 to 6 months, and she told him he was the father. Ms. Webster said she told Miles there was a possibility he was the father. The bishop jumped in and said that this was why he had doubts about the paternity of the child. The courtroom clapped.
Really? I said, how long? She was like, I'm about 5 to 6 months. I said, so you trying to tell me that it's mine? She said
5 to 6 months before you told him?
Well, I was 4 to 5
years. I didn't know it all.
So when you told him, I'm pregnant, did you then tell him, and you're the father?
No, I told him it's a possibility that he can be my baby's father.
Ms. Webster presented a birth certificate. Nobody was listed as the father, but she gave the baby Miles's last name. The bishop said if she was happy with Miles, why did she contact him? She said she had to make sure who the father is, and she's ready to find out. And she was not alone in that regard. Only the DNA results from the court can clear this. Show results.
Mr. Miles Jones, you are not her father. Mr. House, it has been determined by this court that you are not her father.
Mr. Alexander is trying to legally remove his name from the birth certificate of the child of his ex-girlfriend, Ms. Stewart, because he believes he's not the father of the child. Ms. Stewart believes otherwise, that the negligence of Mr. Alexander has left her and her kids homeless.
Mr. Alexander, you are suing your ex-girlfriend for $40 for the cost of the administration fee to legally remove your name from her 4-month-old daughter, Jeriah's birth certificate, because there is absolutely no way you are her biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Alexander stated his reasons for trying to determine paternity, that Ms. Stewart was having an affair with another man. His name was Dexter, that she was also keeping late nights, and this was during the window of her conception.
Text messages and several phone calls from this guy named Dexter. She wouldn't answer the phone when I was in the room. I guess she would wait until maybe I left or whatever, so that's kind of a suspicion for me.
So you saw text messages coming in on her phone?
Right.
But you never questioned her about it?
Yeah, I asked her about it, and she told me, like, don't worry about it, like, basically, like, it's none of my business.
Ms. B. Stewart disagreed, that she didn't even tell him about the pregnancy till about 2.5 months later. They were going through a rough patch. Mr. Alexander said they were on a 3-month break when he learned about the pregnancy.
That's why I'm in doubt, too.
Because this was during the window of conception.
Right.
So you feel like she was cheating on you during the time Jeriah was conceived.
Correct.
Is that true, Ms. Stewart?
No, Your Honor, it is not. And I'm not even sure why he denies. I mean, I didn't tell him.
Ms. Stewart said they were still having sex together during the break, and she wasn't cheating on him. She was suspicious of Mr. Alexander that he was the one cheating on her. She even put a tracking device on his phone and discovered that he was in fact cheating.
I don't understand how he doesn't say that. Every time we're on a break, it's not necessarily a break because we still have sex, so it's not really a break.
So, were you cheating?
No, Your Honor, I was not. Let me tell you what happened. So, I started feeling that he was cheating on me.
She submitted the evidence to Judge Lauren. It was displayed on the monitor and read aloud to the entire courtroom. Mr. Alexander denied it, that the messages weren't his.
That is when he was gone. He told me that he was at his aunt's house, and obviously you can see there he's talking to a girl right there.
So at 7:08 p.m., his phone got a text from a number that's not yours that says, "I'm looking forward to tonight."
Yeah.
Ms. Stewart came clean that she was only pretending to be talking to a man named Dexter to get back at Mr. Alexander. Dexter was her female friend. She only changed the name. She never cheated on him.
Somebody else's fine booty.
That's correct, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Stewart, I'm trying to understand what this all has to do with Dexter. Because if we're being completely honest, even if this is his phone log and he was going after someone else or dating someone else or cheating, that would not have anything to do with the paternity of Jeriah.
Mr. Alexander brought out his sister as a witness. She was also friends with Miss Stewart for about 15 years now. She said Dexter was a real man, that Miss Stewart was really seeing him, and they've gone out to meet other guys together before. Ms. Stewart denied all the allegations.
Stewart and I have been friends for over 15 years, and we've always talked and told each other secrets about, having backup plans as far as if you have a boyfriend, keeping one on the side for when your boyfriend makes you mad, you can, just go talk to other guys or whatever. So as far as this guy goes, it's not a hoax. They actually hang out all the time.
Mr. Alexander said during a previous argument, Ms. Stewart had told him that the baby was not his. The judge confirmed the statement, and Ms. Stewart agreed. She said it only happened once. She said she only wished it wasn't his baby so that they would go their separate ways.
Recently, yes, we have. They just had a little break also, and she thought he was cheating, so we went out to go hang out with guys.
She's also told me several times that when we be in the heat of an argument, that the baby's not mine. So
I said that one time.
Therefore, I have doubt.
Ms. Stewart has been shouldering the burden of raising the child on her own. Mr. Alexander said he cannot take care of a baby that he's not sure of. He's a good father to their first child, but not the second one. Only the DNA results can save the child from neglect at this point.
Mr. Alexander, you are her father.
Brandon, after a 12 years relationship with Ms. Fuller, got a shocker when she confessed that their 3-year-old son may not be his biological child. He broke off his engagement to her, and he's struggling with the possibility of losing his son. Ms. Fuller said she was having an affair with another man at the time. She hid this from Brandon.
3-year-old son Brandon Jr. may not be your biological child. Now you say your engagement to Ms. Fuller is broken off and your heart is in ruins because of the possibility you may now lose your son too.
Yes, Your Honor. Brandon said they got separated when the baby was 6 months old because they had to move. He took the baby to a birthday party. When he returned the child, Ms. Fuller wasn't home and she wasn't answering her calls. This went on for days.
Had to separate because we had to move.
So you all were in a relationship.
We were in a relationship.
Baby was what? Born.
Yep. And we were living
6
together.
months in.
6 months in, we had to move. We fell on some hard times.
Okay.
Respectively, I moved back to my mom's.
A week later, Brandon started receiving calls from a private number. It was Ms. Fuller. She had gone to spend the week with the man she actually thought was the biological father of the baby. She requested for a face-to-face meeting with Brandon.
He asked you on the phone, or he said, meet me and I want to talk about this?
He asked me on the phone. He was mad at me and he was upset. He was wondering where we had been that whole week. And,
where were you that whole week?
I had left to go be with the guy that I thought.
Ms. Fuller presented a picture of the other man, that the baby started looking like him. That's why she disappeared. She was feeling guilty. She didn't want to lie to Brandon.
Why would you just disappear? Where did you go?
He started looking like the other guy to me when he was 6 months. I have a picture. To me, he just didn't look.
Okay, now
he didn't look like neither one. He didn't look like he didn't look like neither one of us to me at the time.
Brandon presented pictures to the judge, showing how close he was to the child. He was there for the kid as a father would. He cared for the child and fed him. The kid even has his last name. He never had any doubt that he was the father.
This baby is named after you.
Oh yeah.
It's your son.
Sleeping on my chest at night, just everything. I mean, I barely move. I mean, like I would sleep like this, real quiet, real.
He discovered her infidelity when she forgot to log out from her Facebook account after using his phone. He saw the messages in the inbox, and one of them stood out. She told the other man that the child doesn't look like Brandon and she needs his help.
I was on my way to some bad things. When he was born, it's just like, I gotta stop.
Brandon Jr. is 3 now.
3.
So you spent the next 2.5 years continuing.
Yeah.
To bond.
Yeah. And then we had a falling out, like serious falling out. She got on social media on my phone, okay, but didn't close it.
This led to a long and heated argument between the couples. The neighbors had to call the cops for domestic disturbance.
It did.
So what happened?
I got upset, okay? Well, actually, I sat down on the couch at first. I was like, So I handed her the phone. I was like, read this. So she reading it, She kind of got a little look on her face or whatever. And I got up after that, and I went to the washer, and I started taking...
Ms. Fuller said she had been in an on and off relationship with the other man for about 8 years. Till when she had her baby. This left the entire courtroom in disbelief. She presented a calendar chart to the judge showing the timeline of her relationships with both men. She said she wasn't supposed to have a child, that her child was a miracle baby.
It was off and on for about 8 years or whatever. Around the time
it went on for how long?
It was like 8 years off and on, but it wasn't like
8 years off and on?
Yes.
Oh, until what time?
Brandon never knew another man was ever in the picture. He had no clue. Ms. Fuller, with tears in her eyes, apologized to Brandon. That Brandon was the perfect man to raise her child and not the other man. Brandon said she was the one that broke off the engagement and there might be no coming back. Only the DNA results can settle this squabble at this moment.
Mr. Brandon Robinson Sr., you are his father.
Mr. and Mrs. White, a newlywed couple, make an appearance in Judge Lauren's courtroom today. Mrs. White is trying to save her marriage by proving that Mr. White is indeed the father of their 3-year-old daughter. She agreed to have cheated in the past, but the results today will help her gain her husband's trust back. Mr. White disagrees. He said he's ready for a divorce.
Ms. White, you've opened your case because your last and only way to save your marriage and family is to prove to your husband that he fathered your 3-year-old daughter, Savannah.
Yes, Your Honor.
You admit you've cheated in the past, but hope once the results are revealed, your husband will trust you again. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. White said his wife was having her ex-boyfriend over while he was at work. His neighbors told him. This prompted him to snoop around her social media, and it led to a quarrel between them. The ex-boyfriend showed up. This confirmed his suspicion that something was going on between them.
Just the other day, she was at my mother's, and she woke up and she asked, "Where's Daddy?"
And I can see this is just tearing you apart.
It is.
It's just eating away at you. I can see that. Explain to the court how it has been for 3 years to have doubt.
It's been rough and emotional because when it first all come about to where I had the suspicions, it was she was having an ex-boyfriend come over while I was at work.
Mr. White said a week after their wedding, his wife was constantly cheating on him. Everyone in the courtroom, including the judge, was stunned. She asked Mrs. White if the allegations were true. She said they were, that she was suffering from abandonment, issues being an adopted child and all.
You just don't have any trust in this relationship.
No, because from a week after we got married, until February of this year, I've been catching her cheating constantly.
A week after you got married?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. White, have you been cheating?
Yes, but I have like abandonment issues because I was adopted. So like if he's not showing me the love and affection that I need.
She said their anniversary is in 2 days, that she wanted to make this right, that she's certain he's the father of the child. She moved in with her husband when she was 19 years old and got pregnant after 8 months. They married after the birth of their first child, and she started cheating immediately.
You admittedly have been cheating. You've had to open this case to prove paternity of Savannah in hopes of saving your marriage.
Yes, our anniversary is in 2 days, and so I want to make this right so we can better our marriage and prove that Savannah is his.
Mr. White found out when the baby was 6 months old during an argument. His wife told him that there's a high chance he's not the father.
Mr. White, when did you find this out?
I didn't find out for sure until she admittedly told me when Savannah was 6 months old that there was a 50-50 chance that Savannah wasn't mine.
And how did you get to a place where you decided you're going to tell him, Miss White?
We got into an argument and we ended up splitting up, and I was over at my mom's house.
Mr. White presented text message evidence between his wife and another man on Valentine's Day. She planned to go spend it with him because Mr. White didn't get her anything.
My father and mother's issues and seeing it, and I'd rather not have my kids in that environment where they're seeing mom and dad argue over something. They don't need to see it. They either need to have family together where there's no issues, there's faithful and everybody's sticking to it, or we do it as separate parents, but we still sit there and have a civil.
Mr. White presented pictures of his wife sexting other men to the judge. He said he took his wife's phone into his possession after seeing all the text messages. Mrs. White said she didn't do anything sexual with the man on Valentine's Day. She just went over to talk.
And I assume, Mr. White, since you handed this up to the court, this is not your body part.
No.
This is what you found in her phone.
Yes, this is the gentleman that she went to his house on Valentine's Day.
Tell me what happened behind that story, Ms. White.
We didn't even do anything on Valentine's Day. We just sat there and talked. That's all we did on Valentine's Day.
Mrs. White says she wants to turn over a new leaf. No more cheating. That's why she's here in court to determine the paternity of the kids and move on with their lives.
You're saying you're not getting what you need in the marriage. So why not just leave the marriage? Why keep doing this if you are going to engage in this type of activity?
Well, I called the court just so I can get the results of the kids. And
Mr. White, with tears in his eyes, narrated how he loved his kids and she couldn't live without them, that his wife was emotionally manipulative towards him. Her current pregnancy is still under scrutiny because of her cheating habits. Only the results can lay this to rest.
Mr. White, you are her father. How do you feel?
I feel happy.
How do you feel, Ms. White?
relieved because he's a great dad and I want him to be all of my children's father.